Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a delicious apple pie from scratch. Yes. So here's all my ingredients. This is not all the ingredients, but yes, I'm going to show you how to make a delicious apple pie from scratch. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Okay, this is all what you're going to need for your apple pie, including your utensils. Okay, first we're going to start off with you're going to need some ice water, you're going to need some salt, some unbleached all-purpose flour, cinnamon, apple pie spice. Now you can also use the regular allspice too if you want. You're also going to need a little bit of nutmeg, just a small bit, some butter, some shortening. I use the butter flavored shortening, so it's not regular, it's butter flavored. You're going to need sugar, lemon juice, and apple juice. Now apple juice, this is my first recipe I'm making with apple juice. So, and you're also going to need 6 large Granny Smith apples. Okay, and you're also going to need a pie pan to go for the pie to go in, and you're going to need 2 large bowls. And there you have it. Okay, time to make the crust. Okay, so in a large bowl, what you're going to do is you're going to add 2 cups of all-purpose unbleached flour. Okay, that's 1. Alright, that's 2. There we go. We got 2 cups of that in there. We're going to add a 1 teaspoon of salt. Just a little bit less than a teaspoon. This is 2 tablespoons of granulated white sugar, and also you're going to add 6 tablespoons of butter. This butter has to be softened and at room temperature, and you're also going to add 6 tablespoons of butter flavored shortening. So we're going to add that right in there. There we go. Let me get a little bit more of this. Okay, and now we're going to add the last thing. This is, in this cup I have 7 tablespoons of ice water. As you can see, it's icy and it's cold, so we're going to add that right on in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to mix this in with our pastry blender. Get this mixed right on in. Okay, and you're going to continue to mix this until it becomes coarse crumbs like how I have it here. And as you can see, it's going to start sticking a little bit. And I'm about to use my hands in a minute. Okay, now I'm using my hand to blend this dough in. And this is how it's supposed to look, like this. See? I'll mix that in just a little bit until it's well incorporated. All the ingredients are mixed in, like so. Okay, now that we have our dough wrapped up in a ball and everything, next thing we're going to do is wrap it up. You can either use plastic wrap or aluminum foil like I have, because I don't have any plastic wrap. I ran out. So we're going to wrap this like that, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Okay, we got to sit right over there. Okay, now it's time to prepare our apples for our apple pie. Okay, so we have a cup of cold water here, and what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, and that will prevent the apples from browning. Okay, next step, we're going to go ahead and we're going to peel our apples. So we're going to start with the first one. Alright. And of course you got to have a little apple peeler or potato peeler, either one. Okay. now that we have our apples, all of our apples peeled, now it's time to cut our apples, okay? Alright, we have one right here. We're going to take it and we're just going to cut it right down the center. Okay? Split that in half, and then we're going to take it and cut it in another half. And now we're going to cut the core out, which we're going to lean it. Cut it like that, and the core will be out. Yep, there we go. You take the core and throw it away. Whoop. Okay. Now, for the cutting part, you want to cut this a little thick, not too thick. You see? This is how thick you want it, okay? And we're going to cut it into those pieces. And we're going to add it into this water which we put the lemon juice in. Add them right in there, like so. Okay, this is how your apples will look. We have all 6 apples cut and added right into this water here. Okay, so, okay, next we're going to drain our apples. We're just going to take them and dump them right on in there. Okay. We're going to take them and we're going to drain them for a few minutes to get some of the moisture out. Okay, now it's time to make the sweet apple filling. So first we're going to start off by adding 1 cup of granulated white sugar. Okay. 2 tablespoons of white all-purpose flour, unbleached. You got to add 1/4, a small teaspoon, well, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of little cornstarch, about 1 teaspoon allspice. So that's a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. I'm sorry. And to that we're going to add 1 tablespoon, just a little small tablespoon of apple juice. And last but not least, 1/4, well, a little drop, 1 drop of lemon juice. Okay, well, 2 drops. Okay. Now mind you, if you want your pie to come out a little bit bitter, you can add a little bit more. But if not, if you don't want it too bitter, then you would do what I do, add 2 drops. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix this in. Okay, this is how it's going to look when you're finished. There should be no visible lumps, meaning that you shouldn't see lumps of cinnamon or sugar. Okay, it should be nice and grounded. Okay, it smells good, smells good. But this is how it should look. Okay, now we took our dough out of the refrigerator. It's been in the refrigerator for about 40 minutes now. We're supposed to leave it there for 30, but give it extra minutes. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take a knife. We have our dough into a ball. We're just going to take a knife and we're going to cut it in half. Okay. Now we're going to save this part for the top crust here. We'll set that on the side, and we're going to use this one here for our bottom crust. Okay, next we're going to take our pie crust and we're going to roll it out now. So we're going to start off a little firmly. And tend to go around the middle. And we're going to continue to do this until the pie crust is all the way out. Okay, this is how your pie crust will look once you roll it out. And to measure it, to make sure that that it has the correct size of the piping, just put it right on top, and that appears to be just about right. So, on to the next part. Okay, Now we're going to take our pie crust and we're going to add it into the pie pan. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to basically take this and just flip it over. Just going to take it and put it right on top. And then flip it over. And you peel this off. One side, we'll do the other side. And voila, there you have it. And we're going to insert that right on in. Just like that, and insert it right on in. Okay, next step what we're going to do is, since our pie shell is a little bit bigger than the pie pan itself, some of the edges tend to stick out. So what we're going to do is, we're not going to trim the edges completely, because I want my ends to be, ends of the pie crust to be a little thick. So we're going to trim about a ½ inch off. And we're just going to continue this until we go all the way around. Okay, now that we've trimmed the edges off, which you can see, this is the piece with the edges was on, and we're just going to take that and we're going to add that right to our big one. And this will be our top pie crust right here. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fix our crust, which we're going to take our ends and roll it up first. Okay, here we have pie crust number 2, the top crust. And now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of smash it in and we're going to roll it out. Okay, I'm going to start from the middle. Okay, this is how your top pie crust will look like. Okay, now it's time to mix our apple filling, which we've made here. We're going to add the apples, which have been sitting in here for about close to an hour. Well, not close to, about 45 minutes or so, because we're letting the moisture out and draining them completely, so that way we won't have a bunch of liquid in our mix. So, as you can see, it's a little water, so it's drained pretty much. And we're just going to add that right into our bowl. Now mind y'all, I'm working with one hand, so bear with me. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix this in. I'm sorry y'all, I'm having a tough time mixing this. Okay, you want to make sure that the sugar is covering every apple. On a piece of apple, you got to make sure that the sugar is covering it. Okay, next step, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our apples into our pie plate. I want to make sure that it's fitting, covering all of the insides of the pie. Okay. One of the last steps to making this pie is you're going to take this top pie crust right here, and we're going to add it right on top of this pie. Peel that off, and there we have it. Okay, we're going to take our ends and we're going to roll it in I told y'all about the ends. I like a nice thick pie crust. So we're going to take our ends and we're just going to roll them in and mix it with the one at the bottom. Okay. Now that we have our pie set and ready to go in the oven, well, not quite yet. We have 2 more things we have to do. So now, we have our crust ends sticking out. So what we're going to do is time to decorate the crust. So I have a fork right here. So what I'm going to do with my ends is I'm going to press a knife about a ½ inch. And we're going to keep doing that until we go all the way around the pie. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put holes in the top of the pie to get the pie to ventilate. Okay, so we're going to cut about 6 slits. Okay, we're going to start from right here. Just cut 6 little small slits, that's all.
Preheat your oven to 370 degrees.
Okay, we'll place the pie in a 350 degree oven for bake your apple pie about 1 hour and 30 minutes. Okay, we have just taken our pie out of the oven. And as you can see, it's a nice golden brown color. Now, in addition to that, on the top I did add a little cinnamon sugar, which is why it's kind of a little discolored up here. Yeah, so that's a little bit darker than usual. Yeah, but this is it.
And this is how your apple pie will look in the inside.
That's how it would look. I ate a slice already, y'all. I got up early this morning and fixed a nice slice of apple pie. Okay, this is how your apple pie is supposed to look after 1 hour and 30 minutes of cooking. And as you can see that the apples are cooked all the way through. They're not mushy or anything like that. But I want to remind you that if you take your apple pie out and you cut into it and there's still a lot of juice, and it's very liquidy, make sure you put it back in the oven for an additional 30 minutes to an hour so the way the juice can thicken. But this juice here is it's very thick. It's not no thin. So, but if it does come out soupy, you can just always put it back in the oven for about 30. I put this one back in for an extra hour, so it really took about almost 2 hours to bake, but I give it about an hour and a half to cook all the way through.